Right. Oh, OBS, are you good? Okay, it seems like everything's good. Wonderful. Right, so I just finished watching Gundam Thunderbolt. For context, this has been recorded literally the day after I recorded my War in the Pocket video. And I watched the movies, so December Sky and Bandit Flower, not the OVA series. So if there's anything that I might have missed because of that, do let me know in the comments. If there's any like extra details that weren't in the movies or things that were changed for the movies, do let me know, so I can be aware. If I, just because I find it interesting if there's any changes. But yeah, other than that, let's talk about Gundam Thunderbolt. Overall, I actually quite enjoyed it. The first movie is definitely the better of the two. Bandit Flower was good, but felt almost entirely pointless, if I'm being honest. Like, it didn't really conclude. It just ended. There wasn't much of an actual, like, conclusion for Bandit Flower, but we'll get to that when we get to it. The main thing I want to talk about, mention with Thunderbolt, especially mainly the first movie, really highlights this, is you got the two, like, main characters, I'd say. You have, well, they are the two main characters. You have E.O. Fleming and Daryl, whatever the fuck his last name was. I can't remember, I'm sorry. And I've literally just watched the movies, I don't remember his last name. But to be fair, he's not really relevant. He doesn't really do a whole lot in the second movie, to be fair. But we have these two main characters. E.O. Fleming is a man that has drowned himself in war. He is someone that thrives on pushing himself to the limits, and because of that, he is, well, now basically only able to survive in war as it's put by somebody else. And then you have Daryl, someone who has had everything taken from him by war, in a very physical sense, to the point where war has consumed him, taking his, arms and legs, making him nothing but a tool for war, and, it consumes him. And it's said at the end of the first movie, something along the lines of, what was it? Fuck. Yeah, two people that exist. Fuck, I can't quite remember the quote, but I'm sure you know what I'm getting at with what I'm saying here. You've got a man who can only live in war and has drowned himself in it, and someone that has been consumed by war. Two opposite ends of the spectrum, but still both people that need war to survive. Whether it's by choice, well, neither of it's by choice, whether it's because one's putting themselves there or because they've been forced there. Very interesting dynamic between these two. I'd like to say there are a couple things with the overall plot. The plot's cool. You get these like nice big set piece battles, and that's basically the main thing outside of like that character dynamic that I just mentioned. Because it's very self-contained again. There's not a whole lot going on, but we do get to see the battle at Albaoku from a different perspective, and it does look kind of different to the way I remember it happening. I assume that's just a little bit of retconning for the sake of, I don't know, the sake of retconning, perhaps, where we see it's implied that the Federation get access to the Psycommu system that the Zeon were using for the mobile armors built for new types, and the Zeon actually get the wreck of the full armor Gundam, implying that they now have something to base, potentially reverse engineering a Gundam off of. But that doesn't happen in the original, obviously. So whether or not that'll actually play an effect or be relevant to anything going forward is a different question. We also get introduced to the Psycho system, the reuse Psycho device that allows Daryl to pilot the Psycho Zaku to a whole other level than he would be able to pilot, or anyone would be able to pilot a regular Zaku, even though Daryl isn't exactly a new type. It's implied that he might possibly be a new type. It's said that he could be, but it's never explicitly like, yes, he is a new type, it is confirmed. Something Flanagan Institute. But it's very interesting to see that. I imagine that that's referencing something. I feel like we'll see that or something related to it pop up later on. That'd be interesting. And by later on, I mean chronologically, because obviously Thunderbolt came out in 2016, which is quite late in terms of real life, not in terms of the UC timeline. But yeah, to be fair, the rest of the characters don't really matter too much, so we're not going to touch on them, but I just really want to... This isn't going to be a very long video. I kind of like the War in the Pocket one, wasn't particularly long. Bandit Flower. Okay, Bandit Flower. The Atlas Gundam's kind of cool. It's a bit goofy, I can't lie, but it's kind of cool. So, you know, sure. But what was the point of this movie? I know Bandit Fly, I believe, is a compilation of the second season of Thunderbolt OVAs. And like, what was the point? Like, really strange that everything that goes, and it just doesn't really conclude. The second movie feels incomplete. It feels like there should have been something after it, like maybe a third season or a third movie, something to round out and finish the arc that was going on, because we're introduced to like fucking this new type worshipping cult where the new type is like controlling his followers using the magic brainwaves that new types have. It's like, okay, well that's something, but you introduce it at the end of the movie. I mean, it's kind of introduced at the beginning because you see the guy with like, you know, the brand on his like wrist, right? And then that comes up later, and it's, you know, I assume, well, it's very heavily implied it's the brand of this cult. It's like, what the fuck? What? Huh? What is this? What's going on? Why was this supposed to be more relevant? Why is it not more relevant? Why is Daryl, like, you know, who was really important in the last movie, off doing... He's supposed to be going to get the Psycho Zaku, which obviously we find out is in the hands of this guy, the one that runs this cult. He has the Psycho Zaku. And, like, it's revealed right at the end, and then the movie just fucking ends after you find out that he's a new type. It's like, what was the point in the second, most, like, 90% of the second movie? Yeah, it was cool to see these characters again, kind of, but, you know, after only an hour with them, it's kind of hard to get actually invested. And the new ones that are introduced are kind of cool, I guess, like, the fuck is her name? It's something Carlisle. I know her last name. It stuck better than whatever her first name was. Yeah, she's interesting, I guess. And that's about it, because she gets screen time. We also find out that through the old lady that's on the, what do they call the ship? I can't remember what this version of the white base is called. It's not a white base. It actually has a name, and I can't remember what it's called. But again, not really important. But the old woman that's on this ship, we find out, you know, she's got a new type development laboratory, you know, a facility for developing new types. So that is in line with what we see pretty early on in Thunderbolt with them picking up the Psychommu system. Obviously, they know about new types because we have Armor, and most of the people on the white base being new types or new type aligned, if you will. So obviously the Federation know about new types and would obviously want to develop new types because they're pretty fucking OP. We also get to see a new type in the Xeon group, the guy with the bangs. I tried to make sure to remember his name, but I can't. The guy with the bangs is kind of angsty. He looks like a twink, if I can't lie. Yeah, he's a new type, and we get to see him do the ding, where, you know, like the spark in front of the vision, and they see shit that they realistically shouldn't be able to see. You know what I'm on about. The new type thing, right? So the new type thing happens. So he's a new type, but then he's not really relevant. Again, a lot of Bandit Flower feels really, really irrelevant, and it's just like there should have been something after it to round it all out, because the end of Bandit Flower isn't an ending. It's like, it's a cliffhanger, which, I mean, you can use as an ending, but it only works as an ending if there's something after it. Otherwise, it's just, yep, it just stops. So hopefully what's covered in that movie, you know, that weird cliffhanger at the end of Thunderbolt will be covered at some point, or connect somehow into the rest of UC. I hope it will, because it came out a lot later, so they definitely could. Like, it comes out way after, like, what I believe is at the end of the timeline with, like, Victory Gundam. So they could easily just fit this in, have it connect to the UC very, very easily, given it was written afterwards. So I assume that's what's going to happen. If not, well, then this movie's just not very well written, if I'm being honest. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Thunderbolt. Mostly enjoyed it, but Bandit Flower is really weird. As for what I'm watching next, I believe it is Stardust 0083 Stardust Memory. I will double check, but yes, by the time this video's out, I'll have probably watched whatever's next anyway. But anyway, with that out of the way, I've been Animosity, you've been you, and I'll see you next time for another video. Ta-ta for now.